It's one of the deepest mysteries there is. It happens to every single one of us, this slow, inevitable process. So, why do we age? Why does your body have what feels like a secret expiration date? But what if I told you that for some forms of life, there is no expiration date? It's a fact that kind of changes everything. Some living things, for all practical purposes, just don't have an expiration date. They're basically immortal. And that brings us right back to the central mystery. If nature has already figured out immortality, why are our bodies seemingly designed to fail? Why are you on a countdown? Let's treat this like a detective story. We're going to go look for clues. To solve this whole thing, we first have to look at the life that seems to have gotten away, the life that just keeps on going. Just look at the variety here. You've got bacteria that simply split, creating endless new copies of themselves. Strawberry plants, they just send out runners, making perfect clones. Then there's the hydra, this tiny little animal that can regenerate its entire body and appears to just skip aging altogether. And get this, scientists have found sponges in the Antarctic that are estimated to be 15,000 years old. So immortality, it seems, is all around us. So, the key to our own mortality isn't really out there in the world. The answers, the clues, they're hidden deep inside your very own cells. Okay, so our first clue points to a pretty wild idea, that your body might actually be programmed to self-destruct, that there's a ticking clock built into your very cells. And this clock, it has a name, the Hayflick limit. The way it works is just fascinating. See, at the end of your chromosomes, you have these protective caps called telomeres, kind of like the plastic tips on a shoelace. Every single time a cell divides, those telomeres get a little bit shorter. And eventually they get so short, the cell can't divide safely anymore, so it just stops. And what's the magic number? Well, for most of your cells, it's right around 50 divisions. After that, the clock runs out. That's it. That's the entire lifespan for that line of cells. So think of those telomeres like a burning fuse. When a cell is born, that fuse is long. But every time it splits to, say, peel a cut or replace old tissue, that fuse burns down a little more. And after about 50 times, the fuse is gone. The cell hits its limit, it stops dividing, and it's programmed to die. It is a biological countdown, and it's ticking away inside you right now. But a built-in clock is only half the story. Our second clue shows that while this clock is ticking down, our body's fundamental instruction manual, our DNA, is under constant attack. Right, so there are two main schools of thought here. First is programmed aging. That's our ticking telomere clock. The second, and the one that's gaining a ton of momentum, is damage-related aging. This idea says we don't just run out of time, we physically break down because of all the damage that builds up over our lives. And the evidence for this is just becoming overwhelming. A lot of scientists now think that damage to our DNA isn't just a side effect of getting older. It's the main cause. Every little error, every hit from UV radiation, every bit of damage that doesn't get repaired, it's literally driving the aging process forward. Imagine your DNA is the master blueprint for your entire body. When you're young, that blueprint is perfect. The instructions are crystal clear. But after decades of sun, toxins, and just simple mistakes our cells make, that blueprint gets smudged, it gets corrupted. And a body that's being built from a damaged blueprint, well, that's a body that ages. So our final clue reveals what happens when these two things, the ticking clock and the damaged blueprint, smash into each other. This is where things get really, really weird. It's the rise of the cellular zombies. See, your body has a built-in quality control system. When a cell hits its limit or its DNA is just too broken to work, it's supposed to just die. It's a clean, necessary thing that makes room for new, healthy cells. But sometimes that system fails. The cell's clock has run out, its DNA is a total mess, but for some reason it ignores the command to self-destruct. It enters this weird limbo state called senescence. It's not really dead, but it's not properly alive either. It becomes a zombie cell. And these zombie cells are a huge problem. They don't divide, they don't contribute anything, they just hang around, refusing to die, and they build up in your tissues as you get older. They take up space, and this is the really crucial part. They get in the way of repair. They actually block your healthy stem cells from doing their job. They're like squatters in a building, preventing any real work from getting done. So, after following all the clues, our case file is starting to come together. We've got our primary suspects for why your body seems to have an expiration date.
Let's run down the culprits one more time. First, we've got the Hayflick limit, that pre-programmed clock in our cells that just runs out. Second, that relentless, constant damage to our DNA, which messes up our body's core instructions. And third, the result of those first two problems, an invasion of these senescent zombie cells that refuse to die and just get in the way of everything.
Which leads us to one final enormous question. We are really beginning to understand the nuts and bolts of aging. We've identified the culprits. So, if we understand the biological code that makes us grow old, what happens when we finally learn how to rewrite it? And maybe more importantly, should